so much for joining us for an all-new edition of Christian Media Spotlight. Joe Neal, your host, here with you. Thank you for watching us however you view our program via our YouTube site, youtube.com/Christ Media Spotlight. Our friends in Portland on Metro East, Channel 22 Comcast, Channel 33 Verizon Fios, and for those watching at our home base of Olympia, Tacoma, Washington, on Channel 22 TC Media, thank you for joining us. She was on over 300 episodes of the Mickey Mouse Club, the all-new MMC. Of course, this is back when Disney was a pay TV model like HBO before it blew up into the cable network giant as we know it today. And also she went on to success. She performed alongside names who you might remember, like Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears and the like, and she has found success herself. August 11th, a brand new album, Unbreakable, out in stores and however you listen to music. And she has a pretty interesting testimony in between MMC went off the air and where she is now. Here to share a little bit about that with us. For the first time on our show, please welcome Jennifer McGill. Jennifer, how are you? Thank you so much for being here.
I'm awesome. I'm so glad to be here. Good to see you, Joe.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show for the first time. We like having first-timers on the show. We'll kind of start. There's a lot to go over because you have a very incredible story and journey and testimony along the way. And we're all about the stories and testimonies here on the program. We'll kind of start from the back and work our way forward. We'll definitely get to the new album here in just a moment because that's very terrific. Start from the MMC days. Of course, the longevity of a Disney show anymore is probably about maybe 3 or 4 seasons. They're very fortunate if they get to 100 episodes. You guys did 300 episodes in the early 90s. How did you become a Mouseketeer? Was it a standard tryout process? How did you first get involved with that starting out?
I do think it was a standard tryout process in general. They auditioned thousands of children. And I want to say they were exploring Canada as well in the beginning. We did get some Canadians on there a little bit later in the seasons. But my particular journey was sort of a Cinderella story. I was just minding my own business in a small town called Denison, Texas, where I was born. And I really loved talent competitions. So I was just out to win a few crowns. It was like karaoke night these days. It was just what you did. You just went out and had some fun. And I sang with my mother would take me, and we just really bonded over that. In my last pageant when I was 10, I was really successful in that particular pageant, and that's when I met a talent agent who, on a handshake with my mother, represented me for my first audition, which was the Mickey Mouse Club, and I was considered for the movie. Why? Because We Like You. That's what it was called. And in the 80s, there was the writer's strike that did shut that production down. But Matt Casella, who was the casting director for both the movie and the series, the new Mickey Mouse Club, the all-new Mickey Mouse Club, brought my tape to the final audition. So I really auditioned once for Matt, once for the final call in LA for the movie, and then third time was in Orlando for the final auditions for the TV series. And I got it. So I don't know how. I mean, I know that God was in the middle of it, but when you look back and now I'm a vocal coach as well for many, many talented young people. I'm really surprised that this little blonde hair, blue eyed girl was the one they chose out of all of the blonde hair, blue eyed girls because I sang big and loud or something. I mean, I was so raw. I had no professional training past my mother, right? So it is a Cinderella story, and I'm forever grateful because I would not be the artist that I am today had I not been chosen.
God does amazing things through willing vessels. I see it all the time on this show. And did you ever think, looking back, did you ever think at the time when you were on Mickey Mouse Club, did you ever think that you were working alongside such names that would go on to such just success that they did? The Kerry Russells and the Timberlakes and the Spears. Did you ever think that you were surrounded just the talent at that time?
It's hard from my perspective to say, wow, she's a star, because I saw all of us with that potential, or he's a star, right? Whoever I was looking at, I saw a lot of talent, and I was the silver lining girl. So I always saw all of the amazing things that we could all do, and I became a proud mama over the years. And I was really excited for the ones who did become sort of the celebrity status. But at the time, there was no social media when we were on the new Mickey Mouse Club. The way that you can expand as a personality now was not available to anybody. And even on the Disney Channel at that point, we didn't have pillows with our faces on it. We didn't have our own merch. They didn't do that for us.
Wow.
And so it really was more of a bubble mentality as far as there's us kids and then there's like Celine Dion or, you know, whatever actor, Harrison Ford, you know, there were these other people that were famous. We were just these talented kids and I couldn't really see beyond that. But yes, I mean, I'm not surprised where everybody ended up. But I do believe that there are even more talented, not more talented than, but equally talented kids that never made it to celebrity. And so that leads me to believe that celebrity does not equal talent and the most hardworking, because I've seen each and every one of us work very hard and find our places in life.
Jennifer McGill is with us, joining us via Skype. Personally, for you, what was your favorite part about that time?
Well, my first and biggest dream, even before my pageant days, was to be a recording artist. So every time I stepped into the studio, we had a special post-production recording studio area, complete with, you know, the wall of windows for the MGM Studios tourists to come by and wave at us, you know, and you're doing this while you're trying to record. That was my favorite fishbowl on property, because I had that amazing mic and I had a window booth full of professionals telling me how to do the best job that I can. You had to work for it too. There was no Melodyne or auto-tune. There was no digital. So you actually had to make the sounds that you hear on our recordings. And I loved working hard. I loved singing big high notes and being one of the ones they asked to do it, like one of the little heroes of the high note on the show. I loved feeling important, especially in the studio.
For those that were a fan of it back then, heading into its final season, it had undergone some changes, a major set redesign, a slightly different format, if you will. Was the intent of that, and it'd be interesting from an insider's perspective, was the meaning behind that? Were they trying to give it a few more seasons, kind of brand new legs to the show? Was there any indication that you guys got that this would indeed be it? This would be the final year of the show?
I remember in season 6 when they brought in what we called the young ones, or the new batch. It was an exceptionally younger cast than us kids who had been there for a while were used to. And I think that there were rumors and talk amongst, you know, the adults and the kids that maybe this was signifying either a huge change where most of us were going to get moved out soon, or that the show was going to close because they were drastically trying to reinvent something that maybe we thought they thought was broken. I wasn't the girl who knew the stats. I didn't know, you know, if there was a problem. But, you know, there were rumors that there had been a lot of changes in the executives in the Disney Channel hierarchy, and that they were maybe testing something, or maybe they came in and said, well, I didn't create this, so I'm just going to mess with it, and it's expendable. All rumors. But there was, for me, this duality of, okay, I'm almost a senior in high school. I could just go off to college after this. But then these young ones that came in, such as, in particular, Justin Timberlake and Ryan Gosling. I remember at the end of season 7, there's this sort of famous picture that runs around the social media every now and again of me sort of cradling and comforting these misty-eyed little boys, Ryan Gosling and Justin Timberlake. Lance Bass, I think, most recently, you know, circulated it. It comes around like every 2 years. And I'm reminded of a time when they loved that show so much as newcomers, as fans that transitioned into becoming cast members. They were so afraid they were only going to get one season. They loved the show so much. And that really embodied a half of me that had been raised by the Mickey Mouse Club. Since I was 10 years old, I was a part of that show. And I'm a junior, and here are these kids sort of on their face is what I feel like inside. So I didn't want the show to end, but when we got to season 7 and the whole set was changed, the whole song was changed, it kind of breaks my heart when people choose the season 7 song to play to reference our show, because that was one season. We had 2 other, I think more for us, familiar songs,
more iconic,
as openings and closings before. And I, once season 7 happened, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of not what I've grown up with. and there were less shows that year, I just was like, all right, now I'm a senior. Now I know that New York University would take me. I don't know. Maybe I'm okay with this. But the little ones were sadder. They had not had their time to run its course. I had 7 full seasons and a pilot. I was good to go.
Last question on this particular era before we move forward. Do you think, with all the music variety shows that exist today, do you think this show could work again in today's era?
They do have a new incarnation called Club Mickey Mouse. And I am honestly blown away and slightly jealous of what these kids get to do. It's only on social media, so there's that. It's not on the Disney Channel. It's not a television show. So there's almost nothing that is similar, except that it's all about unity and cool kid stuff and real kids who are talented, okay? And I enjoy watching their little Instagram posts and stuff, but they get to write their own songs. They get to choreograph. That's stuff that would scare me to death.
Oh, man.
When I was 12, 13, 14 or whatever. But how amazing is that? I mean, now in the digital world, how much opportunity are they getting now? And so, yes, I think that it can be cool and reinvented. I think that what the Mickey Mouse Club stands for will always be able to be reincarnated and reinvented and presented to the next generation in a cool way, because it is all about diversity and love for music and creativity and being kids, you know, and connecting to kids that are watching on the other side. And so, yeah, I absolutely think that it's going to go on and on and on. And I have only the best wishes for Club Mickey Mouse. What is CMM? I'm excited. That we be mousing. We be mousing.
It's the acronym in reverse now.
Right. You know, reinvention.
Yeah.
Like whatever gets to the next generation, that is what is most important. Because when they get there, the message hits home. And that's super important.
Jennifer McGill, kind enough to join us for a few minutes on Skype for an all-new edition of CMSTV. We move forward a little bit. MMC is done. It's wrapped. It's over. That's where the interesting story, I think, for you really takes this turn and really begins, because unlike some of them, you did actually go off to college. And an interesting story happened not only with your parents, but life after college. Tell us about that time period and how your story took a little bit of a turn.
It was really the first time I had questioned my identity. No matter how awkward I might feel in certain social circles or amongst any of the Mouseketeers or, you know, in school, I always had that thing to lean back on, which was I do my work really well. Like, I'm talented. I'm good at what I do, right? And so I got through college and I was successful in college and I had friends. Like, that was all great. But then I did start going back to noticing that some of my former Mouseketeer coworkers were starting to rise in fame, and they were living a dream that I in some way had ever since I can remember. And so Capitol Records discovered my voice, like on the end of a little cassette tape demo, and they started working out a deal. And I thought, wow, I'm going to get to live out this dream. And so I really turned my back on the opportunities that after I graduated NYU, I might have been offered, like as far as the musical theater world, and I focused on this Capitol Records deal. But really the rug was ripped out from under me. It's just the way of the business. You know, I was at the wrong place at the wrong time once the initial discovery of my voice wore off, because I didn't look the parts. I was a little older than the bubblegum pop industry, what they were sort of shooting for. They either had someone already that looked like me that was younger, or maybe the voice was too dark and too, you know, I don't know. Like they would use words like articulate and intelligent. And that just confused me. I'm like, why can't pop music be articulate and intelligent? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I was just not right. I didn't fit the bill. And I went through a stage of changing everything about the way I looked to try to fit into this showbiz thing, to become this sort of rock star, and to really achieve some sort of idea of being a sex symbol, because it looked like that's what everybody wanted. And really, that's not how I was wired. I was going against my nature, trying to fit into this other stuff. And it really swept me away for a while. I had a lot of questions about who I was and why would God give me some talent, but not give me the exterior to match up to whatever gatekeepers that I needed to get through to achieve my dream of being a recording artist. And so, I got really angry and bitter. And in the middle of all of this storm of being let down by this deal not happening, and going in and out of other record label doors unsuccessfully, my mother passed away when I was 24. And I realized a little later that what happened when she passed away was that I had put her on the pedestal that really belongs to Jesus. She's the one that I went to first and foremost, the only one who could speak life to me that I believed at all. Like my first cheerleader, my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. And even though that's awesome for a mom to be, like, that's all great. But I never looked past her until I had enough time without her to really lift my head and my hands up to God and reboot my life with him. So it was the darkest time of my life because I felt super alone and like a failure. And like I said, questioning my identity. Okay, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And I lost sight of the only one who really should matter what they say about me, and that's God. And when I was 30, after a lot of turning to everything else but God, especially unhealthy relationships, I found myself married to a man who was still married to someone else, long story short. And I said yes to him because he asked, not because I was in love, not because I thought I'd found my person. I gave up, I settled, and I liked him enough, right? It was enough of a life, I thought. And I did all of this without listening to God or probably anybody else. So at 30, I was blessed with the opportunity to get an annulment, because we were never legally married. I left that situation. I left that life. And as I did that, I got down on my knees and I said, Lord, I've done everything wrong. I've made all these mistakes. I've squandered all these blessings. I don't even know how to sing for you anymore. What is my purpose? You're going to have to give it back to me. Like, however you see fit, I give this all to you. I rededicate everything back to you. My life is yours. Whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it, as long as you're in the center of every decision I make from now on. And over the last 10 years, he has given everything back to me in a way that glorifies him. Everything I ever was good at doing, I do now again, but for his glory. And it's made all the difference in the world. Like, I couldn't even tell you how many people know my name or like my stuff or have bought the album. None of that matters when it comes to, am I glorifying God? And then all of that satisfies me. And on top of that, then I get all this amazing feedback about the album and the lyrics and just how far I've come. And it just all goes together to warm my heart. But God being at the center of all that first, pleasing him first. So it's been an amazing 180 in my journey. But a 360 back to the original reason why I was made, to sing, to glorify him, to love on people in the name of Jesus.
Amen. We are all uniquely, wonderfully made, and it's great to see you living out the dream that you've had since you were a little kid. And your new album, of course, that came out back in August is Unbreakable. Spend a little time talking about that album, where a lot of the inspiration for the album, including the title track, came from, and how did this all come together for you?
The title track does sum up what the whole album is about. As far as a journey through pain and failure and identity crisis, a journey that for a lot of the times I detached myself from God. But the difference is, or the star about this asterisk about that is, God never detached himself from me. And so the album takes you through times of struggle and uncertainty and fear, but always with this undertone of strength and endurance and love and passion for the victory. And some of the songs describe, it's all autobiographical. Everything that I co-wrote, all the 10 original songs that I co-wrote describe parts of my life. Look in the Mirror and What I Know Now is about my grade school days. What I know now is when I was a little kid, first starting out on the Mickey Mouse Club, and my first encounter with verbal bullying, or being told that I need to lose weight or not gain any more, and I'm 12, and what do you do with that? You know, being under a magnifying glass and being judged. Look in the mirror is sort of in my high school days, where it's the duality of you can look whatever you want to look like on the outside and try to fool someone, but on the inside, we all break the same. We all have insecurities. So it's all about pumping everybody up, and just the message of encouragement that you're never alone. And with Unbreakable, it literally started, the vision of it was me waking up on a battlefield, and I had just sort of gotten knocked down for a moment, and I'm standing up and I'm brushing off the dust and I'm assessing the situation, looking around me at the destruction or the battle that I've just gone through. Who is still standing with me? Who's here? Who do we have left? And it's God. Like, I see him with me. But that also can translate into your best friends, your family. It's who stands with you as the dust is clearing, not before things get crazy, not when everything is good on the other side. Who's in the thick of it with you? And the reason why I'm unbreakable now, the reason why I say that, is because I used to live a broken life where life would hit me and I would fall apart. And I might look like everything was cool on the outside, but I would fall apart, and I was not able to put myself back together 100%. And when I rededicated my life to Christ, I asked him to put me back together in his way. And that was the first and forever time that I started living an unbreakable life. That when stuff happens, because, hey, guess what? Christians have stuff happen to them too. That's, life happens. Yep. And when life would hit me after that time, I did not fall apart the way I used to. So I live an unbreakable life now because of God being in the center of everything. And I wanted that to be like an homage to the power of us that starts with you and God, but then branches out to the body of Christ as well. And then loving people on the fringe, in the gray areas and beyond, being a light for everybody, spreading that idea of living an unbreakable life.
I think homage was a great word. Another word that I was going to use, and I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. Do you hope in some ways, especially Unbreakable, becomes an anthem of sorts for believers to live their life onto and to really hold on to in some of these difficult times?
Absolutely. It's from a perception of it's happening right now. Like I see you. The dust settles on the ground, right? Like it's happening right now. That nothing can separate us. And so it is an in-the-moment anthem. And then the bridge takes you a little further, whatever we're facing in creation, no matter what, no separation. It's a future. It's a prophecy. It's a belief system that you're going to continue to be unbreakable because nothing can separate us from the love of God. I mean, it was built off of Romans 8:38 through 39, So yes, absolutely. And also, FYI, I wanted to create these songs to also minister, like I said, to the fringes, maybe to the gray areas, the seekers. Imagine driving some kids to youth group, and maybe not all of them know Jesus. What do you play to kind of warm them up? What do you play that's not necessarily all Jesus, Jesus, Jesus in a language they don't understand yet? You get them pumped up. You start giving them the language. You start giving them music that's fun, that's going to take them on a stepping stone to the next level of knowing God. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to help the seekers as well and connect with them.
Jennifer McGill, her new album is Unbreakable. It is out now wherever you buy and listen to music. Go support it and listen to it. It's a fantastic album. And it's time for the segment that's often imitated, never duplicated. It's time for our Fun Fast Facts segment, a chance for you to get to find out a little bit more about your favorite personalities in Christian media. Some rapid fire questions. Here we go. Question number 1. If you were not doing music, what could you see yourself doing professionally?
It's so funny because all of my hobbies kind of revolve around music, but I love movies. I would love to be a movie critic because I'm all about action adventure movies, but I watch a lot of movies, always have. I would love to like learn how to design clothes because I love tailoring clothes. I hand sew. Last but not least, I would love to be a casting director. I would love to put people in roles and just see them kill it. I would love that. So it is all still very creative.
Good segue into question 2. Okay. Do you have a favorite movie or movies of all time? Do you have some go-tos?
I love Marvel movies a lot. I love superheroes. I love people who can fly. But it all started back in the day with like The Goonies and Legend and The Neverending Story and Princess Bride. So if I had to pick one of those, I would probably say The Neverending Story was my favorite.
Very nice. Question 3. If we were to peer into your iPod, CD player, streaming service, however in the world you listen to music nowadays, what artists might we find you listening to these days on there?
You would find a lot of 90s R&B, honestly. Like, when I was buying music, like, straight off the iTunes, like, one day I got these headphones. I'm like, I'm going to listen to a whole bunch of music. No streaming. I'm just going to buy it, right? I bought Boyz II Men, Mariah Carey, probably, like, some songs from Belle Biv DeVoe. And just a few days ago, I met Montell Jordan. And the whole This Is How We Do It, like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm geeking out. And so, like, it was a more innocent time as far as the way they treated the content of their lyrics. Like Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, I would be listening to all of my favorite pop, 90s, R&B divas.
Part 2 of our interview with Jennifer on our next show. Right now, we're going to leave you with her music video, Unbreakable. See you next time on CMSTV.
Nothing can take away, break away the power of